Hello, good morning. Hi, I am Daniela. I'm a knitter based in Perth, Western Australia. And if you're new here, this is my little yarny corner in my house where I sit down and talk a lot with you all about my knitting adventures and my dream knits and my finished objects and all the joy that comes from my favorite hobby and the fantastic international knitting community. So this podcast is called A Knitter's Suitcase. As you can guess, I'm not Australian, I'm Italian. I used to live in the UK and now I've moved to Perth. So it's a lot of traveling. Of course, we go back and see family, and every time I move here or there or travel, there are always needles and projects in my suitcase. So what better name? You can find me on social medias as A Knitter's Suitcase. That's my Instagram handle. And the name of my little shop that I've got on Etsy, where I sell handmade project bags. That's another one of my crafty endeavors. And you can find me on Ravelry as DanyUK. I'm on Threads as A Knitter's Suitcase, though I don't use that much. And I have got an email address. First thing, I need to thank all the old viewers, the long-time friends now, as I've arrived to episode 11. Who would have believed that in the beginning? And a lot of people keep watching my podcast and commenting, and I'm ever so grateful. And I'm very grateful for the newcomers as well. I hope you enjoy my content and you'll decide to stick around. Okay, so the structure I normally use for my podcast is the typical one: finished objects, works in progress. Now, what's happening today is that I need to leave some sections out because it's been a long time since my last episode and I've got a lot to say, and I don't want this one to be like 2 hours long, considering I have this tendency to sort of drift away chatting about all sorts of things. I will talk about finished objects and works in progress mainly, and I'll touch about my little project bag shop. But I'm planning to record, hopefully soon, another podcast with acquisitions and with some gifts I've been preparing and making for other friends. That will come later on. Okay, I'm not wearing any knits today as Perth, Western Australia is quite hot at the minute. Apparently we are about to have a heat wave, so this is about what I can wear. So I'll show you some nice summer knits next time, hopefully. And we need to just dive into the finished objects. So I've got two finished objects today, though I'm cheating a little bit here because they're not made by me, both of them, only one of them. So this is my first finished object, and it's my test knit for Susanna Kaartinen, who is Sanna & Co. And it's called the Anaras sweater. You've seen the beginning of it in my previous episode, and now it's finished. I must say it took quite a long time, not for any specific reason related to the pattern. It's just these month and a half probably since I've recorded. My previous episodes have been very, very busy for me. I've done a lot of sewing, I've had custom orders for my bags, and I have had some amazing family time due to the arrival of my lovely mum from Italy. She came to see us, now it's been months, and she's staying only another week, but it's been really lovely to spend time with her and to craft a lot with her. Goodness me, she's helped me a lot. And so the knitting has been a little bit on the sort of back of all this, but I do love this jumper and I was looking forward to finishing it. It has been not exactly a smooth ride, I must say, for various reasons, but the reasons why, on the contrary, I'm really happy. Number one, it's my first colorwork garment that I have completed, and I think the overall look is quite nice. The colorwork, I think, has, you know, come out really beautiful, and I'll show you the floats in a minute. Shouldn't we do that when you do colorwork? Show the floats, that where, you know, the most pride comes from. And I've used a yarn that's kind of mythical for me, because I've heard so many times about projects knitted with it, and I had never had a go at it myself, which is the very well-known Lettlopi yarn, the Icelandic yarn by the Lopi brand. So my choice has gone on these three colors, which are color 9423, the teal one, color 0051, which is the white. I've still got a full bowl of that, and my number 1404, which is the like turquoise color that I've used for the details. Now, technically, this jumper is a top-down jumper with a round yoke. The color work reaches the split for the sleeves, but it also carries on for another nice repeat of this sort of shorter band, also up in the sleeves and in the body. There it is. What shall I say? This is such a fun pattern. I understand it is inspired to some sort of graphic designs that Susanna has carried over from her traditional culture, the traditional culture of the ethnic group she belongs to. She is Finnish, lives in Australia, but in Finland she belongs to the Inari Sami group. And Anaras is actually the way the Inari Sami call themselves in their own language. Bit tricky there, but believe me, for me at least, this was also a plus. The fact that I was working on a garment that has got a story that is part of a very intentional sort of collection. She's actually creating a collection with various pieces that recall that culture, and it's beautiful as well. So Susanna's design, I'll add a photograph of her own sample, is quite cropped, and it has got like the sleeves are a little bit like in a, so can I say balloon shape? That is, they tend to be quite round until you reach the cuff. Now, as I said, I'm really happy with this jumper, but there are a few difficulties that I need to share with you, that are entirely due to my own, inexperience, and maybe also the fact that I was rushing it a little bit because I was excited to knit it. Let's go. You start at the top with a provisional cast on, and I have then started the color work that I do with holding my yarns into hands. So I hold the yarn that's dominant, the color you want to make dominant, on my left hand, and the contrasting color, the sort of background color, in my right hand. I have had a lot of fun making it, so much fun that I think I've relaxed more and more and more, and my gauge has grown and grown and grown the more I went down the yoke and then into the body. So basically the measurements I have achieved are bigger than expected. I was supposed to obtain 102 centimeters, which is 101 centimeters, which is the expected ease for a 92 centimeters bust, like me. So this would be a size 3. And I have actually achieved 108. So it's definitely wider than expected. And that I thought would be a big problem, but actually now that the garment is blocked and I've tried it on, I don't think it's terrible, honestly. Actually, let me add a little bit of a recording here of me wearing it with a ridiculous outfit, because I had shorts and a massive Australian straw hat, as it was like 30 over degree yesterday. But I really wanted to show you how it fits. But what technically really gave me a headache is the fact that also my raw gauge was off. So basically, once I had finished the color work, I couldn't use the decrease rate that was prescribed in the pattern to get to the cuff, because the sleeve would have become like 2 meters long. So I had to sort of make my own decrease rate, and then I've proceeded for the cuff exactly as Susanna prescribed, and I have finished it with this beautiful tubular bind off that I really love. And it's the same that you also make. I haven't woven in the ends yet, that you also have at the neckline. The length in the body, I think Susanna is quite cropped, but being that it's particularly wide in my case, I didn't want to have a very, very cropped garment. So what I've done, I've basically carried on knitting. I finished the sleeves, and then I've carried on knitting until I had yarn. And there is somewhere a little bit, look at that. That's all I have left of the 6 balls of yarn that were prescribed for my size. 6 balls of Lettlopi in the main color. Actually, Susanna's knitted her own in this yarn. So I just, stuck with what she was prescribing in the pattern. And I'm quite happy because the final length is, I think, perfect for me. And despite the silly gauge, I have managed to, win at Yarn Chicken. And I have actually quite a bit of the contrasting colors left. So I used altogether, this garment weighs 409 grams, and I have used 40 and 48 grams of the white and turquoise, and that leaves us with 320 grams of the main color. Do you want to see my floats? There you go. Here are my floats. I think they are quite nice, honestly. Huh? Am I winning a little bit of a medal for these floats? Well, the truth is, I was a little bit discouraged at one point with this jumper, not because the pattern is difficult or it is not well written. It's absolutely well written, and I do recommend it to anybody. It's just my silliness with the gauge had made me think, oh, it will look ridiculous, and then the yarn will not be enough. And And also, shall we have a little reflection about the Lettlopi? It is rough. There's no way of, denying it. It is a rough yarn. It is not soft. It is nothing like, the Merino or the BFL or the Polworth that you may love. But it's been an experience. And I must say, after blocking, it has definitely bloomed and softened up. And I think it is perfect for it's not that I think, that's the truth. It's just what these sort of garments are meant to be knitted with, because the grip of the two colors with each other is perfect. There's no gapes, no holes, nothing. And I think I'll use it. I think I'll wear it. I'm not terribly sensitive to rough yarns. I may be a little bit in 30 degrees, but not in winter. And I hope I'll manage to wear it as like an outer garment when winter comes here in Australia. Maybe even in the house, because it's so cold in this house in winter. So yes, please stay tuned for the release of this pattern, which I suppose is going to be sometime soon in December, and try and have it a go. I will share the details for mine on my Ravelry as soon as I get some time. And and I also have to show you the pages on my knitting journal. If you're new, you must know that I like to sort of record my projects on a knitting journal, where I also sometimes add some details of my life. I do a little bit of scrapbooking, and that's it. Here we are. So this one that you see here is the flag of the Inari Sami people that I decided to add to it, to make it, more complete, to leave a sign of the fact that this is a garment that is very intentional and has got quite is the modern interpretation of Susanna's heritage and identity and cultural identity. So I've got a little graphic of the garment that I've cut off the pattern with, all my measurements detailed, and a little polar bear, just because it makes me think of the very cold climate this garment comes from. And and another thing that I want to mention, I am planning to enter, if I'm still on time, because in this period I've lost track of most of the podcasts I used to watch, and I'm not even sure this CAL is still going on, but it was my plan to enter it in the LBK Nordic CAL by Selma at Little Big Knits. And that's a CAL that allows you to enter any project that are by a designer who's from the northern countries, so Finland is perfect, and and knitted with some yarn that is from the northern countries. So again, Lettlopi is perfect. Okay, so I've ticked off my first colorwork garment and my first Lettlopi project, and I think despite the difficulties, it's a win. So hope you like it as well. The second finished object I want to share with you is actually a little bit of a cheat because has not been made by me, but by my mom, who has also, I think I need to highlight that, she has also finished off the tubular bind off for the hem of my Anaras, because I think my mom used to do the tubular bind off before I was even born. I know some knitters, you know, still find it an unusual technique. They're not familiar with it. But for me, while my family was still knitting on straight needles, the tubular bind off was the thing to go. So she can do it without, you know, even looking if possible. And this is another thing she's made for my little girl. And oh, isn't it fantastic? Now this little shrug, or I don't know, cardigan, I don't know how you want to call it. I first saw it on Amber's podcast, A Lovely Yarn. She's a lovely knitter from the United States, and I watch her all the time. She's very calming and I love her. So please go and check her podcast. And I have seen this one that she had made for her daughter, following a pattern that's available on Etsy. I'm not sure whether it's on Ravelry at all. And it's called the Castaway Tunic by Wildspring Fiber Arts. So this is crochet, of course. There you go. And while I can crochet, I'm definitely rusty at it. So when I saw it and I showed the pattern to my daughter and she was in love with it, I thought, okay, this is just the job that we can prepare for grandmother to make when she comes. And of course she jumped in it because she is a very skilled, you know, crocheter, and she was very happy to make something for her granddaughter. Now, this little top is originally in the pattern worked in sport or DK yarn on 7mm needles, and it's I think it's quite size inclusive, and it is well, there are a few sizes in the pattern, but what we have done, we have just gone to find some yarn in our local spotlight because we didn't want to be particularly difficult with the yarn, and we just wanted her to cast on as soon as possible. And she has adjusted basically the sizing to the gauge she was getting. So this one is knitted in 3mm with a 3mm needles hook, so it's quite much finer than the garment you see in the pattern, and the measurements are completely basically made up. The structure of it is quite simple because there are two long stripes that are then joined at the back and at the front. In our case, we have made it as a cardigan, so it's open at the front. And then what you do, you sew it at the sides as well, and you add a little like trim along the sleeves opening. Well, my daughter is 10 and she is very petite and slender. So what my mom has done was casting on 196 stitches with this yarn. Here it is, that we found at Spotlight, which is Pure Baby 4-ply Shepherd brand, and it's 70% organic cotton, 30% wool. It's quite nice, and I just think the final result is fantastic. Look at the fabric Mom has made. Isn't it just perfect tension, very consistent, and I will add here a little recording of my daughter wearing it, well, photos, because she didn't want to model it too much, and you'll see how sweet it looks on her. What we have done also was changing the construction at the back a little bit, because we found that if you did, so we haven't done this modification at the back because probably due to my daughter's physical structure or the fabric, I don't know, seaming the two bands vertically just in the middle would make it pucker it. I don't know how to explain, but it wasn't looking good on her. So we have decided to overlap the two strips in this way, so that it is just looking much better. You know, it's hugging her figure much better than, you know, just a straight seam. Sorry. And we have added this little porcelain button that I bought ages ago, I think at Buxton Yarn Festival when I was still in the UK. So there it is. Isn't it sweet? Going forward on the topic of new cast-ons, new project, I am now diving in with another test knit, and it's a very cool one. I've mentioned it before because I showed the yarn that I'm using in my previous episode. It's this beautiful Ochre yarn, which is 60% merino, 35% yak, 5% silk, 400 meters for 100 grams. It's Australian, an Australian brand that is actually the yarn that the designer used for this project. The project is the Miko sweater, photo here, and the designer is the loveliest lady, Vera Marcu, who is Vera Loves Knitting on Instagram. Please do follow her because she's got so many gorgeous patterns, one better than the other. I really like one of the latest shawls she's released, which is the Semplice sweater, and it's basically all knits and pearls, nothing complicated technically, but the overall effect of the shawl is really cute, really different, special. So the Miko sweater is gonna be fabulous, and I was hooked, not only because of the little story that's behind the name of this jumper, of this sweater. Please see my previous episode to hear about that, but also because it's got a very interesting construction that is something that always tickles my interest. The construction of this sweater prescribes that you start from basically the center of the yoke. So you cast on your stitches for the back central bit, and then you work sideways to knit your yoke on one side and then your yoke on the other side, front and back, and then you join in the round to knit the sleeves, and then you pick up stitches at the bust to knit the body. So how fun is that? Very different. And it's also interesting for me because it involves quite a bit of lace knitting that I haven't done in a long time. I want to say maybe since last Christmas, when I knitted the Venezia shawl for some family members as gifts and friends. That may be the case. I think this year I've focused mainly on color and texture in terms of fisherman rib, in the sense of mixing fingering and mohair for my lentos, but I haven't really done any lace. And here it is. Look at this cute little, well, another tester has described them as little pomegranates, and it's quite accurate, isn't it? So you've got a little bit of cabling, because these they are cables, they're little columns of knitted stitches on reverse stockinette background. They create like diamonds, and the lace is in the diamonds. So there is chart reading. There is quite a bit of chart reading, but I do like that. It's one of those things that I don't mind. And to be honest, I've I don't read every line of the chart because I think I have memorized the chart, the repeats already. I just keep it there and cast an eye on it probably every other round to make sure that I'm on track, and just there are a few bits where I need to double check. So this is basically this section. For the back though, I have to carry on a little bit more. Unfortunately, being this dark, I don't think you can see much, but it's a delicious texture. And, you know, we always learn. So my difficulties with the gauge for my previous jumper, my previous test knit, have made me feel like I really, really wanted to work with discipline on my gauge. So I have swatched. I've made bigger swatches that I'd normally make. And I've made 2. Because the gauge for this sweater, so let me tell you, it's not gonna be a quick knit, okay? The gauge for this sweater is 30 stitches per 10 centimeters. And there's no way that I could achieve that with the prescribed needle size. So this was my first gauge swatch, which gives a fantastic fabric. It's super drapey, it's super soft, very, very, very nice. But I think here I was 26 stitches. So I spoke to Vera and I just said, look, I think I'm the loosest knitter on the planet because I can't get gauge. And then she just said, you know, she told me she got gauge with 2.25 millimeter needles. And I did that too. And that's spot on. So yeah, it is a little bit daunting. I can't deny that. It's a little bit daunting knowing that you have to, you know, knit a full sweater in 2.25 with 2.25 needles. But I'm pretty sure that the construction itself and the what is it? The lace repeats will make it less sort of boring than one could think. Actually, it's not boring at all this far. So, well, I hope I'll get it finished soon. And it's definitely the thing where I am concentrating all my energy at the moment. Though I ended up, treating myself to a little bit of a Christmassy. Oh, this is just kept in one of my Christmas bags. Very happy, very fun, very pink Christmas bag. And yeah, I ended up treating myself to another little bit of, you know, Christmassy knitting joy, which is the No Matter What knit along, I suppose, mystery knit along by Sarah Skira, who is Imagined Landscapes. I mean, she needs no introduction. The widest knitting community knows her very well because of her gnomes that are not only cute, but I find, you know, so entertaining that she's got different names for them all, and she's gonna tell us stories about them. And in particular, what's happening with this knit along is that we'll get an email every day in December from the 1st to the 24th, and it will not be tips, clues for the knit along every day apparently, because it's only a little gnome, so it's not gonna take forever to knit. But there will be stories about the character, there will be some recipes, Christmassy recipes, and I thought that's gonna give me a little bit, you know, of some extra Christmas atmosphere, considering that I can't deny it. As a European living in Australia, I struggle a little bit to get into the Christmassy vibe, given that it's so hot, it's so sunny, and it doesn't feel like Christmas at all over here. Sorry to say that. Okay, so that's another little thing I'll enjoy in the next few weeks, and then I have just the one gift knit to make for Christmas. Not sharing details about that because I want to keep it a surprise. And then, well, we'll see what else comes to my mind. I definitely crave a shawl. So I also want a nice shawl. I want a shawl in the tones of blue and teal. So I'm considering various yarns I've got, and I'm considering a Birds of a Feather pattern by Andrea Maury. So that's something that's in my mind. And goodness me, I have to mention what I think is one of the most beautiful shawls around at the minute, which is the latest design by Moonstruck Knits, Natasha Hornby. Now, I'll write it down here because I don't remember the name at the moment, but goodness me, have you seen it? It's again mosaic knitting, so I suppose it's one of those pieces where the technical level does not match the beauty of the shawl. That is, I think, less difficult than it looks, to say it in short. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I need to cast that on at some point very soon. Okay, the last two things I want to share with you today are, first of all, a few words about my little shop. I've been sewing. I have been sewing quite a few bags, a lot of custom orders, and I really need to thank my mum for helping me there, because it's great when you've got somebody who's, helping with all the boring bits, like, threading in the ends or ironing or the really boring bits. And I had just all the fun picking the fabrics and cutting them and deciding how to match the various details. My shop is on Etsy, it's called a Knitter's Suitcase, and I'll add a little link down here. So at the minute, I haven't got an awful lot of Christmas bags on it, because honestly, a lot were very quickly, they disappeared very quickly from the shop. People appreciated them apparently. So I think I've got only these two still available at the moment. All my bags are drawstring. They are nicely padded so that they can stand up by themselves, and they have some fun fabric in the lining as well. So this is a sock bag, though it can easily accommodate 2 skeins of yarn. This is a garment or big shawl bag on the contrary, and it's got a handle as well, some fun lining in here as well. My favorite of the collection that I have released probably last week are probably these two. I've got only some bits of fabric to show because I have no more finished bags, but they will be added to the shop. This gnome fabric, which I find so fun and sweet, and I definitely need to make myself a gnome bag for my gnome project. And this one, the Nutcracker, that I also love very much. This is a sock bag in the making. I decided to add some yellow on these and the pink lining. But I have other bags, not Christmas ones. I've got a very sock dedicated one called Socchetti, like confetti, all sorts of sock confetti. I've got these very cute one. I like to give them fancy names. So this one is called Fair Isle is the New Leopard Print. And I've got some bigger ones like these Birds of Paradise one. I really like these colors. As you can tell, teal and pink and purple are probably my favorite colors. This one, which is all about balls of yarn and plaid, and it's got like checks inside. And this one, which is a new edit of a bag that I've made a lot in the past, which is sort of dedicated to all the people who take their knitting as an important therapy as part of their healing and mindfulness journey. There it is. So these are all available now, together with some others that are in the shop. And I just want to just share this little consideration. If you are in Europe and you are feeling a little bit daunting, feeling that the shipping from Australia is a little bit daunting, I just may manage to sneakily put some bags in my mother's suitcase. She's coming back to Europe next week, so we may get bags to you with, you know, a bit of a more affordable shipping rate. Let's talk about it if you want. Just get in touch with me and we'll sort that out. Talking about bags, though, there is another important thing that I don't want to forget, and that is you'll be able to pick one of my bags, the one you prefer, as a gift for one of the winners of the Perfect Pairings and Perfect Pairing promoted knit along called Sana Sweater Cal, which is a knit along organized by the ladies behind the Perfect Pairing podcast, together with Susanna Kaartinen and the super talented dyer Karina of the Louie and Lola brand. So I'm participating with my EXP that unfortunately has had no love since my last podcast, for all the reasons I've already explained. But a lot of beautiful sweaters have been finished already, completed and shared in the group and on Instagram if you follow the hashtag. There are amazing prizes. So if you are in, you know, if you've got one of Susanna's sweaters in the making, do not forget to join in, and you'll be able to win a lot of fantastic prizes and one of my bags as well. So that's it. The very last thing I want to mention is this very, very lovely initiative. My friend Susan, who is on Instagram as 1001 Stitches, and I organized for local knitters here in Perth. I used to attend a lovely knitting group at the library, at my local library, before I started working, and I loved my Thursday mornings there. And I think I've had other opportunities of meeting up with knitters before, but then I've started working and my mornings are always very busy. But I was really missing that as much as I miss my weekly Zoom catch up with my friends of the One with the Knitting Friends group that I am part of. They're all in the UK, so they still meet up virtually, but the time is no good for me here. So I was missing all these things, all these opportunities of having social gatherings. And so my friend and I decided to just invite any Perth knitters to join us for a couple of hours on a Sunday morning. That was the, what day was that? The 4th of the 5th of November. Now I can't remember exactly. And we met up at a park here in my area, and we had the most amazing time. We did a lot of chatting, we exchanged inspiration, we met new people who they just turned up, And it was fantastic. We loved it so much. And we found out that meeting at the weekend is actually good for quite a few people in our circle of friendships. So we have decided to do it again. And the next date will be the 25th of February. Please follow my my Instagram or Susan's Instagram, and we'll share all the details. We have decided to announce it quite early and leave it until February because now it's Christmas time and it's school holidays after that. So please, you've got plenty of time. As soon as you've got your new diary for 2024, write it down if you're in Perth. 25th of February, we'll meet at Heathcote Reserve. And last time we did a little quiz for the participants, and we donated to the winner. I donated a Christmas bag, and my friend, who's also a very good dyer, donated a skein of her dyes, of her hand dyed. And this next time we are planning to do, just as a side little event, a yarn swap table where people can bring any yarn they are not feeling much joy about anymore, and we'll see if there are any takers, and there can be, you know, like exchanges of yarn, just to have an extra sort of topic of conversation. Not that we need any, but just as an extra bit. And yeah, I hope to see quite a few of those people who last time said, oh, I'd love to participate, but I can't make it. And anyway, there will be time to speak about it again before then. As I said, I have quite a lot to tell you still about my I've bought an advent calendar, 12 days by Fluff and Nonsense. I've had a very nice gift from a friend, and I haven't been able to pick the colors for my gnome knit along yet. So there are more things I'd like to talk to you about, but not today, or it'll last like 3 hours and a half. So I'm planning to record maybe shorter things later in December. I'm not talking Vlogmas. I don't think I've got the stamina to do that. But maybe a few more, like a few informal chats. My husband will be leaving for work. My mom is going away as well, so I'll try and spend some of my time alone chatting to you and sharing more knitting joy and more fun. Okay, thanks so much for following me. Thanks so much for listening to the end if you made it, and please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And comment. I love to read your comments, and see you soon. Bye. Happy knitting.